Hello everyone, welcome to FrontEndFunn. In this video, we'll be creating this cool gsap menu animation. So let's see what is the final version of this. So if I click on the home icon, as you can see, the active element will be highlighted here. Similarly, there is a slider which slides and focus the active element. Okay, so we'll be creating this from scratch. This is my index.html and my index.html and my style.css and my custom script file. As you can see, I have gsap downloaded and pasted inside the JS folder. Okay, first let me include gsap script source equal to so let me collapse this. So we'll be creating a div with class of menu. So inside the menu we'll be having a div with the class of slider, and inside the slider we'll be having a focus. So this focus is the focus here, and the slider is the top slider. Okay, and here we'll be having the links. So I'll just write an anchor tag and give it a class of link, and inside this we'll be having a div with a class of icon. So I'll be pasting the SVG here. So these are the SVG icons which I have taken from Ion Icons. You can download the pack, or you can directly click here and download the SVG. Fine. Okay, I'll just copy the SVGs. Okay, right now this is not visible because it is having a color of inherit. Okay, so if I give it a stroke color of so if I write stroke red, as you can see, this is the SVG here. Okay, so I'll just copy other links here. So these are the icons. It is not visible. So first let's style these elements. So inside style.css I'm writing HTML and body, and let's make it the height 100%. We'll target the body and we'll display it as flex, and justify content to center, align items to center, and let's give it a background color of lightish gray. Okay, next we'll target the menu and give it a background color of black, and I'm going to display it as inline flex, and let's give it a border radius of 0.5 rems and set the position to relative. Okay, I think I forgot to include CSS. Let me check. Okay, fine. Let's target the links here. So these are the anchor elements, and I'm going to display them as inline flex, and let's give it a padding of 2 rems and font size of 2 rems. Let's give it a color of gray and set the position to relative. Fine. So the icons are not visible because I haven't added the height and width for the icons. That is the SVG tag. So I'll target the menu and link, and I'll target the icon. So icon is a div which is holding the SVG. So we need to write a stroke. So let's give a stroke color of gray, and let's give the div a height of 42 pixel and width of 42 pixel. Okay. Next, let's add an active color here for the icon. Menu dot link dot active. So if the link is active, then I want the stroke color to be white. So right now the heart symbol is active, so it is having a stroke color of white. Similarly, if I click on this plus icon, as you can see, this is having the active class. That is the reason the stroke is in white color. Okay. So finally, let's style the slider. The slider is inside the class here. Slider and focus. So I'm targeting the slider. Set the position to absolute. Because the parent is position relative, we can position the slider as absolute, and let's give it a height of 0.25 rems and set some border radius 0.25 rems. Okay, and let's give the slider background color of white. Right now the slider is not visible because it is not having any width here. Okay, so if I give a width of 20 pixel, as you can see the slider is on top here. So we'll be controlling the width of the slider using JavaScript. Let's give it a z-index value of 1 and set the top to 0 because we want the slider to be on top, and set the left to 0 and set the margin to auto. Because there is no width, we will not be able to see until the icon is clicked. Okay, so transform style, preserve 3D, because I want to place the focus element inside the slider. I'm using transform style, preserve 3D here. Okay, menu slider dot focus. So focus is inside the slider. We'll apply the transform style to preserve 3D and transform origin to top, because we want the focus as if it is coming from a light source. Okay, so I'm going to rotate the focus here. Fine. So before that, let me add the background image, linear gradient and minus 180 degrees. So we want from RGB at 255, that is white, half white to completely black, RGB 0000. Okay, and we want the black color to be 90%. Fine. So the slider is not having any width, that is the reason the focus will not take any width here. So if I add width of 200 pixel, and right now the focus is not having any height, so let me add some height. As you can see, this is the focus. Okay, so to achieve the effect, transform 3D effect there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to transform it, adding the perspective to 200 pixels, and I'm going to translate it via Y 1 pixel and rotate it via X 65 degrees. Okay, fine. So let's go to JavaScript section and start adding the animation. So first I'll target the menus, assuming that there will be more than one menu on the page. I'm going to use document.querySelector all, and I'll target the menu. So this is the class. So menus will be a node collection where I can make use of for each loop. Inside this we'll have a menu, and for each menu first we need to find all the links. So to find all the links, I'm going to use all links here, menu dot query selector all dot link. Okay, so we are targeting all the anchor links here. Next we will be having a slider, so menu dot query selector, because there is only one slider, I can make use of query selector and target the slider. Similarly, I want the focus, menu dot query selector of dot focus. Okay, let's create a function to remove all the previous active classes if present. So for that I'm going to use a function here, remove active class, which basically removes the active class on the links here. The reason I'm using a function because I can make use of this function at multiple places. So all links dot for each function item. So every individual item will be removing the item dot class list dot remove active. So this here will be removing the active class. Okay, next I'm going to create another function which adds the active state. So active will be taking the anchor element, that is the active anchor element which the user has clicked, and will be adding the active class to this element. Okay, so this is the place where we will be having the animation. So I'll target the icon and active element dot query selector of icon. So this will be the active element will be a link here, link element. So inside the link I'm just targeting the icon. Okay, next const slider position is equal to active element dot offset left plus icon dot offset width times 0.75. Okay, so if you observe the final output, the slider is not starting from the starting point, it is starting from the, so if you see the active link here, the link is starting from the top left corner somewhere here, but the slider is starting from the center. Okay, so to achieve that I'm just targeting the icon and setting the position of the slider with respect to the icon here. Okay, so the icon as well as the slider is on the same line. Fine. times 75.75. Next we'll be adding the animation here. Here comes the gsap animation. So gsap dot timeline. I'm just creating a timeline and I'm targeting the focus element. So 2 will take the params, the object as a param, where we need to pass the CSS rules here. So initially I don't want the height, so I'm setting the height of the focus element to 0, and let's give it a duration of 0.2 with the easing of power4 dot ease in, and on complete I'll just remove the active class. Fine. So on complete is a callback where I can pass a reference to this function which executes on completion of this timeline. Fine. Similarly, so if you cleanly observe, when user clicks on an active element, we want the focus height to be 0, then move the slider position to this active element and again add the height to the focus. So if you click here, as you can see, initially the focus is 0, then the slider position is moved, then the focus is having a height again. So initially we have removed the focus. Next I'm going to chain another 2 here where I need to position the slider. So CSS and width is icon dot offset width. So we want the width of the icon to the slider, and the left is slider position. Okay. Next we want the duration of the slider is 0.2, and easing function will be power4 dot ease in out. Here this should be small o, similarly small o here. Okay. And finally we want one more 2 where we want to add height to the focus. Okay. For the focus we want the active element dot offset height here. Okay. So I'm getting the active elements offset height times 1.4. that is because we want height to be more than the active element. I'm just multiplying it with 1.4. Okay, you can just play around with these values, and the duration will be 0.1 and easing will be same power4 dot ease out. Okay. So on complete I want to execute a callback function where I'll be removing the active class for the element. Sorry, I'll be adding the active class for the element. Class list dot add active. Fine. So I'll just go through the gsap timeline. So we'll be creating a timeline, and first initially we'll remove the focus height, then we'll move the slider to the position, and we'll be adding the focus height here again. And final thing is I can just add a play here so that the animation plays. It seems there is an error here. Sorry, I just forgot to add the on click listener to this links here. So there is no error. Finally we need to add the click listener. all links dot for each link dot add event listener of click, and inside the callback we'll just execute add active state for the link. Okay, so I'm just looping through all the links and adding the add click listener, okay, and passing the link to this active state element. Fine, so let's give this a try now. Fine. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please do watch other videos on my channel. Please share and subscribe. We'll meet again in an exciting tutorial. Take care.